In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make paper umbrellas. They're super simple, and you can make these for your craft projects, your artwork, a party, whatever you like, and you can make them as small or as large as you would like. The only restriction is the size of your paper. You see in front here I have 4 different patterns that I've made, and each pattern will give you a different edge to your umbrella. So in the first one, you can see you get like a pointed edge. And the next one, you can see you get like a scallop. And the next one, you get kind of a curved down edge. And then this one, you get kind of a scooped out edge to your umbrella. All of these patterns are on my website or my blog that you can download. They're each individual files. That way you can download them and print as many as you need to make your umbrella. What I do first is to decide how many panels you want in your umbrella. And I'll show you what it looks like with this one. This particular one has 7 panels. And then this is the same kind of umbrella using the same pattern, but it only has 6. And then this one that I'm working on has 5. So you can see that the fewer panels you use, the smaller the umbrella is, even though this is the same pattern and it's the same size pattern. Once you get more than about 7, it's a little bit too big, and you get something that doesn't look much like an umbrella. So you need to decide what you want to do. The other thing is I like to print out the number that I'm going to use, like I've done here. And then I run them through my Xyron machine and get adhesive on them. And you can see I've done that with this one. And then I apply that to the paper. Now, if you're not going to see the underside of your umbrella, then that works really well, because it's nice to use the pattern to cut out, the actual pattern to cut out each one, because they will fit together better. But if you have double-sided paper and you want to see the inside, or your project, you're going to be seeing the inside, you have 2 options. One is that you can just simply use one of the patterns as a template and trace around it for however many panels you need, or you can actually paint the inside of this umbrella. So it's kind of depends on how you want to do it. Now you'll notice on the pattern I have indicated the fold lines versus the cut lines. So once you get the number of panels you're going to have, and I'll show you with this one that I'm working on, I'm going to use 7 panels on this, and I've already assembled 6 of them. You'll go ahead and apply here. You're not going to see the underside of this umbrella, so I'm not worried about the pattern being seen on the inside. But you'll see here I have instructions that say the black are the cut lines and the red is the fold line. So once you apply your pattern to your paper, like I've done here, cut it out along the cut lines, then come in with a ruler and a scoring tool and just score along that score line. And then you're going to fold it, and do that for all your pieces. Then you're going to go through and start gluing them together. And as you can see here, you glue the tab side to the side that doesn't have a tab, and just go around and do that. And normally when I'm working with paper, I use Tombow Multi because it's made specifically for paper, but on a project like this, as you start to put this together, there's a lot of pressure. So sometimes a tacky glue like this doesn't really work. It'll start to come apart. So what I've been using is the Glossy Accents, which is a little bit stronger glue on the paper. And I just come in and glue that tab, apply it pretty good, and then come in and put this on. You want to match it up really, really perfectly at the bottom edge and at the top edge. And then press that down and then let that dry. And I go around doing it all the way around, and then I let this dry really good before I do the last one. And then the last step would be to just go ahead and glue that, and now I have my umbrella. Now, if you want to put something at the top of the umbrella that's bigger, like a bead, like a larger bead, then what I do is that you might want to cut a little bit of a hole in the top, and the way I find to do that, that makes it the easiest, is to take my patterns, actually I usually apply that to the paper and then cut it out. And before you start assembling it, I put them all together and get them all lined up because we want to get it as perfectly as possible. And then I come with a pair of scissors and just snip the very edge. And you don't have to snip much. A little bit of a snip gives you a pretty big hole, so be very careful. Just snip a little bit off, and now when you put it together, you're going to end up with a little bit of a hole at the top where you can set a bead. Now, if you don't do that cut, you're still going to end up with a little bitty tiny bit of a hole, and I can show you here what I did was I used a toothpick for my pole here, and then there's a little hole in this this pumpkin bead, and that would stick just on the very, very tip of that toothpick. So I really didn't need to make a hole. But if you're going to have something that's bigger that you need to sit inside of a hole, then you want to probably cut a little bit on the tip. Now you can size these as big or small as you're able to glue or work with. And here's a really big pattern. You saw at the beginning in the overview right before the tutorial started that I had a very large umbrella, and that was made with this particular pattern, and I cut this from 8.5 by 11 piece paper. So really you can make these patterns as big or as large as you want. The other thing I wanted to point out is this particular pattern. You'll notice there are 2 panels. Now the way I put those together, I've started this one already. I glue together all the top panels, and I found this was the easiest way to do it. So I did all the top panels, or excuse me, all the top tabs, and then came back in and glued the bottom. And there's a lot of pressure put on it when you're doing this little tab here. So I glued that with the glossy accents and then basically put a little clamp on there and left it for a while, and then I glue the next one and the next one. Another option on this particular pattern is that you could cut this tab off, and then you'll get a square bottom instead of that turned down look. So I can just take those tabs out, and that gives me another look for the umbrella. Now for the poles on the umbrella, you know, it really depends on the size of your umbrella that you're making. I used everything from a wooden skewer to a toothpick, and then on the really big one that you saw earlier, I actually used a wooden dowel. So it just depends on the size of your umbrella. And that's all there is to it. So have fun making umbrellas.